It's official! Amazon is buying MGM for $8.45 billion. Way to negotiate that price down, Bezos. In the online retail giants, it's weird how to describe Amazon, right? They seem to do a little bit of everything. In fact, I think the best description for them that a friend of mine pointed out is that they're the modern Sears Roebuck catalog. It used to be you'd have a giant phone book where you could order absolutely anything. And that's what Amazon did. They just put that online. If only Sears had thought of it, they wouldn't have gone extinct. I think Sears is totally out of business, if not severely scaled back. But anyway, this is Amazon's second biggest acquisition ever after Whole Foods for $13 billion, which I'd like to add, Amazon totally ruined by taking away everything that made that store special and unique, and also making employees literally cry. Amazon is actually really horrible to all of its employees, yet so far has been able to convince those same employees not to unionize, which I think is super sketchy. But anyway, seemingly overnight, Amazon has become a major competitor in the online streaming game, surprising even themselves. Seriously, in their recent quarterly report, they were like, we're suddenly a streaming giant. Hooray! And now they're leaning into that big time. Yes, after years of having mostly awards favorites on their service that few people actually watched, there was a big shift with The Boys, Invincible, and pandemic acquisitions like My Spy, Borat 2, Coming to America, and the upcoming The Tomorrow War, which have brought in suddenly a ton of viewers. Tomorrow War, by the way, has the most aggressive Amazon branding that we've seen on this kind of content to date. It's extremely aggressive. They're like, it's on Amazon, and you're like, okay, I get it. But it's weird that we're going to start putting Amazon into our discussion of streaming services, which they have not been a part of in the past. In fact, it was recently listed that it's Amazon and not Disney Plus that's the runner-up to Netflix when it comes to global viewership. Now, Amazon Prime probably has a lot more members because an Amazon Prime membership gets you all kinds of stuff, including free 2-day shipping. But Amazon said that based on their numbers, again, I don't know how this is private information. I don't know if there's any way to verify it, although it seems no one's lying, or HBO Max would be doing a lot better. But anyway, Amazon has specified that 175 million of its global subscribers watch its video content. Now, a lot of people are saying that Amazon bought MGM for its library of content to instantly add so many titles that people know and love onto the service. But I don't think that's correct. Even Disney is learning that library content will only get you so far, and I think after the initial excitement of the Disney Vault being permanently open has worn off, I think a lot of us are less and less impressed with that. I actually feel, I don't know if it's a good thing to have access to all the Disney stuff all the time. I think it kind of takes away some of the specialness of it. But anyway, because viewers are hungry for new content, of which there is so much these days, who has time to go back and watch library content, quite frankly? Although I do plan to watch The Little Mermaid tonight in honor of Samuel E. Wright, who tragically passed away. All right, so anyway, that's why Amazon is spending $465 million on a single season of The Lord of the Rings, a budget which makes the Whole Foods and MGM acquisitions look like peanuts. Peanuts! That's an incredible amount of money. That's basically 4 shows on any of the competing streaming services, shows which look pretty darn good. So I'll be interested to see if we can see all that money on screen, because we certainly know they didn't spend any of that money on actors or behind the camera talent. It's funny because it's true. So I believe Amazon bought MGM to get more shows like Lord of the Rings. They want to make new shows based on the brands, make no mistake about it, the brands that they've just acquired. And here are just a few of them. RoboCop, Poltergeist, Silence of the Lambs. There's a Clarice show on one of the networks right now, but I think it's doing okay, but they could still do something with that. Tomb Raider. I wonder what will happen to the Tomb Raider movie the sequel that's supposed to be going forward. I don't know if it still will now. Anything that's not rolling when these deals start to go through is in danger. So the Magnificent Seven, I think you can make a series out of that. The Pink Panther, so valuable. The Thomas Crown Affair, Rocky and Creed. Remember, Amazon just got into the Michael B. Jordan business in a big way, not only distributing Without Remorse, which we all wish had been better, but still, they signed an overall producing deal with him. And of course, the crown jewel of this acquisition, Mr. James Bond. James Bond. Oh, he wants this acquisition shaken, not stirred. But it did shake things up at the people who run the Bond brand. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But I do want to say, expect movies and especially shows based on all of these brands to go into development very quickly. And that was even said today when they announced the acquisition. They said, we can't wait to develop stuff with the MGM people. Let's go. Now, as expected, Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson aren't very happy about this, about their new partners. MGM and Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, whose father started the Bond movies, they have a 50-50 split on ownership of Bond, but Broccoli and Wilson have complete creative control. Now, they insisted in a statement released hours after this deal was announced that Bond movies will remain theatrical releases only. But you'll notice they didn't say anything about shows, because I think even they have to realize, as much as it might annoy them, that if they want to have a good relationship with their new partners and not have to fight over every little thing about the movies, sure, they have total creative control, but that doesn't mean Amazon can't make their lives a living hell. Just look at the horrible stuff that was pulled on Dave Chappelle back in the day. So I think that they will let Amazon make one spin-off show with another, focusing on another 00, or maybe something with Q or Moneypenny, or maybe all of those things in a single show. I mean, spin-off shows for movie franchises is the name of the game these days. You can do something like the GCPD show that HBO Max is developing along with Matt Reeves to spin off from the Batman. I mean, I don't think that would dilute the Bond franchise at all, to be honest with you. And I think it would keep it more in people's minds. What do you think? I mean, they could do something about a Bond villain from the villain perspective. Please, God, they're going to reboot it, hopefully, with all new cast members. I mean, with all due respect to Daniel Craig, who still is the star of my favorite Bond of all time, Casino Royale, I'm ready for someone new. I'm ready for new people across the board, and I would really like it to be Henry Cavill, but let's see. But anyway, No Time to Die was never in any danger of going straight to Amazon. So I don't know why anybody would be nervous about that, because it will be, I know some of you asked if that will happen. No way. First of all, it will release before this deal is finalized. This will take months, if not a year, to go through. So Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson are concerned about future Bond movies. But again, that's totally unreasonable for anyone to be worried about, because Amazon has always been protective of the theatrical release window for movies. Again, I think the real goal here is shows. They want shows. So, of course, the other big question is what's going to happen to everyone else now that this domino has fallen. The third domino, in fact, after AT&T sold Warner Media to Discovery and Disney bought Fox. Bob Iger, the one that started it all. Side note, there's a rumor going around that Warner Media Discovery is trying to sell off DC. I think that it would be absolutely ridiculous for that company, that newly formed company, to sell off one of its biggest assets. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous. And then, I mean, today you have to always put an asterisk next to potential deals saying crazier things have happened. But I think you have to ask yourself, how would this work from a business perspective? And it just makes absolutely no sense that they would get rid of something so valuable to them throughout all their different divisions. I mean, it just makes no sense. And then also, some people felt that Disney would be there was a rumor going around that Disney would be the one to buy it. That also makes no sense. They already have Marvel. And with the Fox acquisition, they got a ton of more comic book, they consolidated all of the Marvel brands, but it's awfully crowded over there as is, not just with IP, but the release schedule for comic book movies. They don't have room in the Disney slate to release anything from DC. So that deal makes just absolutely no sense. Now, some of you are wondering if Netflix might try to buy a studio so it could get more library content. Netflix has no library. Well, actually, they get some pretty good library content here and there. But you know what? Again, I don't think library content is as valuable as it once was. I think, at one point, the big shows were valuable, like Friends and The Office. And Big Bang Theory. But I got to tell you, I feel that there's now such an explosion of new content, I think even that's probably lessened in how valuable it is to services. So Netflix is just fine when it comes to creating new content. They're spending $17 billion on new content this year alone. So as I recently said, I believe that Netflix will back the theatrical window for the first time for some of its movies, and it will become more of a studio indistinguishable from these other studios that are emerging. And it will just be a new major studio. And again, Netflix and Disney plus Fox, are the ones to beat. They're why everyone else is consolidating. Netflix doesn't need to get any bigger. They're already at the front of the pack. Someone's going to buy AT&T shareholder 71% of this new Warner Media and Discovery company. I believe it will either be Comcast to pair it off with their NBC Universal division, which I'm rooting for, or Amazon could pick it up. Really, I mean, they could certainly afford it, and I think MGM is a small purchase, not only in terms of price, but also in terms of what comes with the deal. I think they could definitely roll in Warner Media and Discovery. CBS Viacom is expected to merge with someone as well, and expect someone to buy Lionsgate. In fact, Lionsgate could even get folded into Warner Media Discovery, considering David Zaslav sits on the Lionsgate board. Now, will Apple, Google, and Facebook, the other tech giants, will they buy anything? Well, remember, I don't think any of them want to pull an AT&T where they get into a business they're not really in. Like, who here is actually in the content making business? Now, Google already has YouTube and generates incredible ad revenue from its search engine and all its online products. I don't see them moving into the content creation space in this way. And also, think about it. Every single one of these services advertises their trailers and more on YouTube and are covered on YouTube in videos like the one you're watching. So they're already, YouTube gets to enjoy all of this. So I think Google's doing just fine. The growth of all these companies only helps Google. Same for Facebook. Facebook, I don't get Facebook, honestly. It seems like it's mostly just to spread misinformation, right? And to spy on people. But anyway, I mean, not by the government. Well, maybe. Actually, it does. They sell a lot of your information, but for people to spy on other people, right? But I think Facebook has continually struggled in its efforts to produce content, and I just don't think it's the space for that. As for Apple, this is where things get interesting. They are primarily, of course, a tech company, but are very big in the music space, obviously. And then also, it's interesting, like no one got into music production, right? What? But movies and TV are very big for them from a premium video on demand perspective on iTunes for rental and purchase. Apple TV is coming along slowly. Ted Lasso is on the verge, I think, of being a genuine hit. And personally, I feel Apple TV's biggest problem, because they have some amazing content on there, is that it doesn't have its own space. In fact, it seems like a secret part of iTunes that you're not even sure you're in when you're in it. You're like, am I in Apple TV? It's weird. I think their interface is horrible, which is weird because the iTunes interface itself is fantastic. So anyway, since iTunes is so vital to Apple and their brand is so intertwined with the entertainment industry, from making that content to watching it, I could see them making a purchase, and they probably are mulling one over. They were kicking the tires of MGM themselves, but only wanted to offer $6 billion. I think this Amazon acquisition is going to light a fire under them, because if they don't hurry, all the good stuff will be purchased by the time they're ready to make a deal. I personally, this is what I would like to see happen, and I'd love to see your wish list down below. So we have Netflix, and then Disney Fox. Then we have Warner Media Discovery, which I would like to see NBC Universal purchase at other 71%. Let's roll Lionsgate up in there and have something. I think that's fantastic. And then I think Apple will pick up Viacom or Sony. I don't care. I mean, do you? I think that Sony, interestingly enough, there's been chatter about it being purchased for quite some time, because the larger Sony company doesn't particularly enjoy being in the entertainment business, but they have yet to sell it off. And no, I don't think Disney is going to buy Sony. I know some of you feel that would allow them to get Spider-Man back 100%, but Disney's big enough and has enough stuff, and they're getting along very well with Sony on that one thing, and they're still able to use Spider-Man and all on their merch and in their theme parks. I don't think they need to spend the money to buy all of Sony. Although they did make that deal to get some of the content, that's interesting, to get some of the content onto Disney Plus after Netflix. So they got the second pay window. so far down the line. But hey, you can see some movement there as well. So we'll see what happens. So I'd love to see your wish lists down below and what you think drives this stuff. Is it library content, or is it the ability to create new shows off of these known brands? Again, share those thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.